Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here again because I am leaving tomorrow and I have had a crazy couple of weeks. I'm going to do a 2-for-1 again. So you guys can listen to whichever podcast you like, but they are going to be the same. And they're the same because this is super, super important. And I want to talk to you about staying true to IBC. Okay. I talked a few weeks ago. I was invited to speak on the infinite banking concept with the life insurance company that I work with. They had a big symposium, a whole bunch of agents came through, and for the entire, 2-3 days that we were at the symposium, we were talking about universal life, variable life, indexed. Many of the agents there were infinite banking practitioners talking about how to use the cash flow of the policy, the cash value of the policy, all these things. But what was not talked about was keeping true to what Nelson had intended for IBC to be. And I think that this is getting lost. Well, I don't have to think this is getting lost. I know this is getting lost, and it's really unfortunate. So if you have read one of my books, either Life Without the Bank or Farming Without the Bank, and you have not read Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker or Warehouse of Wealth, my only question to you is why? Not everything in my book is covered that is in Nelson's book. Remember, my book is a supplement to Becoming Your Own Banker. If you've read Becoming Your Own Banker and one of my books, then the next book logically would be Warehouse of Wealth. Now, there are not numbers in Warehouse of Wealth, but it gets us in the thought process of where Nelson wants us to be. And there is a huge misconception with infinite banking that it is all about the life insurance tool, right? The life insurance policy. Now, I call that a tool. That's all it is a tool to get us to where we need to be financially. But where that starts is in our thought process. So this is what's happening. I had some doorknob, and I'm going to call him a doorknob, on one of my social media ads post about, do I like universal life or do I only use whole life? I think is what he asked. And I said, yes, only whole life. The rest is crap. Now, I don't have to explain why the rest is crap in this podcast because you guys have previous podcasts. And he then proceeds to tell me that I need to evaluate the risk assessment because for 30 years, he's been selling universal life products. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can just see my face. The risk assessment? The risk assessment? Are you kidding me? There is no risk assessment. I am not selling you an investment. If someone comes to you and says, what is your risk assessment for wanting some whole life insurance or some life insurance? Run for the door. That is not IBC. Okay? Risk assessment is an investment. If you want life insurance, go buy life insurance. If you want to invest money at risk, then why don't you go get an IRA? This gentleman might be the perfect person for you to assess your risk. Why? Why would I be selling universal, variable, and indexed when they are not guaranteed, right? It is the tool to the concept. The concept is liquid money with guarantees. It is owning the bank and having the dividend. So I was talking to my friend James Nethery, and you guys all, if you've listened to my podcast, I'm sure you have listened to James's podcast. And there are very few of us that are as authentic to IBC as Nelson was. And James is one of them. And James and I were visiting just last week from this recording. And we were talking about how many policies people have and how people will brag about the fact that we have 50 policies, we have 100 policies. I don't care how many policies you have. It's not about the number of policies. Nelson had 49 life insurance policies. I'm not out here to beat Nelson. I'm out here to do what Nelson instructed us to do. Now, if we remember correctly from Nelson's book, if you don't have the book, go get the book. You can get it on either one of my websites. Go now. Push pause. Go get your book and come back. If we remember, Nelson talks about the fact that he got stuck with $500,000 of debt when interest went to 23%. What Nelson does not say in that book is he inherited another $300,000 of debt at 23%. The problem was he was wrapped up into the banks. If we want to stay true to IBC, we don't use the bank. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. We have the acreage that we live on, and then we have a rental property in town, and we recently just purchased 40 more acres. Okay? The rental property in town we paid cash for. Interest rates were 3%. Could have I went and got a loan for that property? And then I could have used the rest of my cash to go buy more rental properties. Absolutely 100%. That is what the real estate world tells you to do. The 40 acres that we bought just recently, we paid cash for. Well, not cash, but we borrowed the money from our policies. Okay. We borrowed against our policies to buy that. Could have I went to the bank and asked them for the money so that I would have had left more liquid money? I could have went and bought more land, and I could have went and bought more rental properties and financed the rest through the bank. Yes, I sure could have. Interest rates are at about 6%. Don't really want to pay 6%. I got to pay 4.76 to the life insurance company. I had my money in 25 minutes. Okay? That took a long time. I messed some stuff up, had to redo some stuff. Nobody asked me any questions. And I am staying true to infinite banking and what Nelson taught me. To what? Not get in over my head, grow slowly. Nelson did not have this empire of real estate because he financed through the bank. Nelson said, if you're using the bank, you are part of the problem. So there's a lot of IBC practitioners that are listening to this. And they will tell me, well, Mary Jo, that's not creating cash flow. You could have more cash flow that could go back into the policy. Yes, I understand. I 100% understand that. Do I want more cash flow? Do I want to be part of the problem? No, I don't. Do I want the flexibility to pay back these properties as I wish because that is how I bought them? Yes. It is not just a factor of cash flow, right? We have to look at that. Stay true to what Nelson is teaching. We, even in the infinite banking world, can get so wrapped up into rates of return. And I know, I feel like I've just talked about this, and maybe I did, but obviously it needs to be done again because I'm thinking that we need to. I have a fly in my office. Okay. We need to stay true to IBC. That is what Nelson is teaching us. If we continue to go to the banks to create cash flow, we are part of the problem. Now, what if we have a client that has a lot of money? What if you are a client with a lot of money and you don't want to take that risk? You can lend the money to other people and be the bank. Nelson was saying we should be the bank. So can we go to other people to borrow money instead of going to the banks. Pay attention to the infinite banking concept. Don't be this guy that says, oh, you know what? We can just go ahead and we can just get you a universal life policy and make a better rate of return. My freaking head is going to blow up, people, if I hear this one more time. If you do not know the difference between a universal life, a variable life, and an indexed, go to the podcast that I have that goes over those. And I don't know the podcast number. Search through the podcast, listen to them all, whatever. Find it. This is absolutely crazy. We have lost what infinite banking is so that we can chase the almighty dollar. And that is not what Nelson taught us. That is not what Nelson taught us. He did not teach us to go big or go home. In the farming world, we have seen that, you guys. We have seen it in the 80s. What happened in the 80s? They called notes and they rewrote those notes at a higher percent interest rate. Farmers lost their ground. There were auctions everywhere. Suicide was at an all-time high. It didn't matter if it was farm ground or real estate. If the bank decides to call that note, we are part of the problem. IBC is to fix the problem. Yes, I do not have a bazillion rental properties like I could. Because I don't owe money to anybody but myself on the properties I have. I am okay with that. I can sleep at night. Interest rates are going up. It's not bothering me one iota because I'm not a big real estate mogul. I don't frankly care about it. I'll buy farm ground all day long. Right? I'll have a short-term rental. I will have a long-term rental. If I come across some other ones, absolutely fantastic. But it has to be at the right time. If I finance it, okay. Will I have a available line of credit at the bank so that I can have access to the equity in these properties? Yes. If the bank decides to pull that, then they decide to pull that. Remember, Nelson had not used the bank in 15 to 20 years upon his passing. He did not go to the bank except to have a checking account there and a pass-through account. He did not use them for loans. Please remember, as we are building, I am uber conservative, and that is for a reason. Read Warehouse of Wealth. Read Becoming Your Own Banker in conjunction with my books so you understand the premise of why this was created. If you understood that, you would not be asking about universal variable and indexed life insurance. I wouldn't be hearing from agents about universal variable and indexed. And here's another thing. I bet 5 listeners in the last month reaching out to me and saying, hey, Mary Jo, can you help me? I bought this policy from another agent. Can you help me utilize it? Can you help me with this question? Can you help me? Can you give me guidance? I am happy to give you guidance 100%. But why did you not come to me to set that policy up? I am the certified practitioner. I am the one that can keep us true to what Nelson was talking about, right? If those agents can't answer that question, why did you not ask that question before? And yes, this sounds harsh, and it should sound harsh. Because I am here to teach this and I am here to help you. But when you go to somebody that's not helping you, why? Why didn't you just come to the expert right away? You know who I don't hear from? are clients of James Nethery's, clients of Ryan Griggs, clients of Russ and Joey, clients of Anthony Faso. I don't hear from them because they know what they're doing. I hear from clients that do not have an infinite banking practitioner that is either full-time and knows what they're doing and does not have the correct amount of help and backup, or an agent that says, sure, I can do that for you, and they don't know what they're doing. Do your homework. It's your money. Do you want to put your money and your future with somebody that doesn't know and that doesn't have the system to help you? Or do you want to put your money with somebody that can help and stay true to infinite banking and not tell you to always go to the bank? There are times where I might say, yeah, go ahead, go to the bank. And there are times where I'm going to say, you know what? Don't. You don't have to. I don't. Don't be pressured by peer pressure, because that's essentially what's happening with all of these IBC podcasts and all of this cash flow stuff we're hearing with mixed in with IBC. We're hearing go to the bank, borrow money, leverage, 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 leverage. And if I hear it again, I may. My head might blow up. Just saying. Put it into perspective. Listen to where Nelson was. He did not tell us to buy real estate. He did not tell us to chase a rate of return. Stay true to who Nelson was and stay true to what he was teaching us. Think of that next time you are talking to somebody about IBC and banks. And as always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, want to yell at me, whatever, feel free. MaryJo@withoutthebank.com. If you have not gotten the book, go to withoutthebank.com or farmingwithoutthebank.com. Get your book. They come in bundles at a discounted price. They come in audio. Get them. Share them with people. Talk to people. If they are not infinite banking certified, if you are talking to people that don't know anything about IBC and they're telling you it's a joke, remember they don't know anything about IBC and you know more than they do. So who's the joke? Okay, you guys, let me know if you need anything. Otherwise, you have a fantastic rest of your day.